your life. Okay? So, it could last well past that Social Security set age of 67. I plan on working well past it. Plus, with current life expectancies, phase 5 could last well beyond 85. My dad's 92. So I know I'm doing everything I can to be prepared for all that time where I'm not doing this kind of stuff. So who's figured out what PIYP means? The first and the last phase of life is affected. What do you do as an infant? Which is something you're going to try not to do when you grow up. Jordan? Poop in your pants. That's right. So if we spend the first part of our life pooping in our pants, and we spend the last part of life trying not to poop in our pants, shouldn't we make the rest of our life as wonderful as it can possibly be and avoid drudgery? Well, it's our recommendation, and Coach and I can help. It's our recommendation that maybe you look at being one of these. Who has these aspirations? Good for you. For the rest of you, if you don't have the aspiration to be the CEO, and I'm assuming you meant of a company or an organization, if you don't have that aspiration, then do this. At least be the CEO of your life. Drive it. Don't let everybody else tell you what to do. Listen, but then do what you think is best for you. Okay? Now, what does it take? Anybody ever hear of a CEO rating scale? Did you know they have those kind of things? They really do. I think this one is the best. I like it, or I really do. And for the first couple of factors, what we're going to do is we're going to go to a guy who is best capable of helping you understand the kind of things you should do with those first few factors. Coach, that's not from yesterday, is it? Wow, it's not.
Wow.
But look at that's not earmuffs there, okay? If you get what that is out there. But I think it shows his passion. Because not only was he a good player, he was a really successful coach.
Thank you, Ken. Well, I used to tell my kids those were just wings to make me go faster. Aerodynamics, right? Thanks for being here this morning. I want to just remind you, what we're here to talk about is being the CEO of your own life, right? And developing options and making informed choices in your life. It's your life. You have to take charge of it. It ain't mom and dad and grandma and grandpap and your best friend, okay? It's not even a professor. They're part of your board, your mentors, okay? But it's you that is responsible. So I had a dream, a hockey dream, and anybody know what that specific dream was? What was it? Kind of got a hint a little earlier when they introduced me. What did I want to see happen here at Penn State? Come on, somebody take a chance. What? Varsity hockey, okay? There was varsity hockey here back in the 40s. I love your Hockey Valley t-shirt, by the way. Thanks for wearing that. And it disappeared. And it was a dream we had to bring it back and to build what is now the Pagula Ice Arena, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So on this CEO rating scale, and I want you to think about this in kind of two parallel paths right now. One is that you're going to be the CEO of you, all right? The other one is that you're going to be the CEO of your own company, all right? So think about these factors, all right? So this chief of market and customer focus, you got to know what you, start with you. What matters to you? And once you can define that, where you are, then it makes being the CEO of a company a lot easier because you have an idea of where you're heading. And what matters to you makes a difference. We'll talk more about this. So you have to be able to listen, understand, and take charge by getting into the action habit, all right? So whether it's you trying to improve yourself as a person, a leader, hopefully the CEO, you've got to be able to listen, you want to understand, and then you've got to take action. There's an awful lot of people who do the first two, never get to the third part. They have fear, okay? I talk about it being the power of pragmatic passion. How many of you want to run your own company someday? How many of you are thinking about that? Okay, well, good. You're going to hear from a lot of people this week who are doing that, okay, and have been very successful. But let me tell you, they're all going to tell you the same thing. It wasn't because they sat around dreaming about it, okay? They did something to make it happen, okay? That's where, when you have this passion for wanting to do something, we want you to dream big, okay? We got laughed at a lot, those of us that wanted to see varsity hockey here, that never believed that that building would ever be where it is, all right? You got to be persistent, but you always have to keep it real. So pragmatic is the practical part of this, all right? You can dream all you want. You have to have a plan, and you're not going to do it alone, okay? So what about this passion thing? What makes you leap out of bed in the morning, okay? My wife used to joke around that she got up and went to work, I got up and went and played, okay? I loved coaching. I loved teaching. I liked being around young people, all right? I was very passionate about what I did, okay? And what gets your blood flowing? What is it that really excites you? Everybody's motivated by different things, okay? You have to find your passion, and I would be willing to bet most of you do not spend enough time thinking about what that is, okay? Is it just a paycheck? Is it that you want to change the world, okay? What is it that makes your blood flow, okay? So it starts by knowing thyself, all right? You've got to figure out, is what you're passionate about a vocation or an avocation, all right? Few people are lucky enough to do both. They usually have a vocation, an avocation, and they're different. The vocation ends up being the means to the end for the avocation, all right? And you got to decide, is it a profession or is it a hobby, all right? So you may be really passionate about something. The key is trying to figure out how can you turn that into a business, all right? Monetize it. How do you, and hopefully it's going to be something not just making money, but something that's going to help other people, help people be better, help this world of ours, okay? Now we're going to talk about the second factor, and that's managing your resources. This gets back to the pragmatic side of that equation, pragmatic passion, all right? So what are you doing? How do you develop those resources? And then how are you going to strategically put them to use, okay? Because you can be anything you want to be. You just can't be everything you want to be, all right? So we have to have a plan, all right? And you got to decide, do they align with that passion of yours, okay? Otherwise, you're just all over the place, all right? Ken's going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So pragmatic, let's use results that are from, you know, some of the things that we can do, the assessment tests that are out there, whether it's DISC or Myers-Briggs or Flippin. In the NHL, we used several of them with our players to try to get to what's in their heart, what's in their head, okay, what drives them. You need to do that, okay? I always like to bring some props. Here's a book called Your Gut is Still Not Smarter Than Your Head, okay? Metrics, using this technology that you're all part of, is important, okay? It's not everything. It still has to be, it's a tool, right? It's got to be combined with your passion, okay? Another good book, for those of you that haven't figured out quite what you want to be when you grow up, Caught Between a Dream and a Job, okay? This is a little bit more about passion, all right? Figuring that out, all right? We'll get to the other two in a couple minutes here. You've got to figure out what it is you want, how you're going to get it done, and then develop your options and make informed choices. Find the passion, and then get pragmatic about it, okay? That power is, you need to kick it into gear, right? He said get into the action habit. You got to find a way to kick it into gear. All right? You can talk all you want, you can dream all you want, you got to wake up and do something about it, okay? And that's your personal and your professional lives, by the way. It also means to fuel that journey, you've got to develop skills and competencies, okay? If you can do that, you're more likely to have more options and make a better choice, okay, of what you're going to do. Lastly, you've got to have an intense, burning desire to succeed, okay? You've got to have that, not outwardly. I know I come across as a pretty shy, quiet guy. I know that, all right? So I'm an extrovert, right? How many of you would consider yourselves introverts in this room, okay? Well, if you haven't heard about this book yet, go out and get it, okay? Quiet, all right? It's all about the power of introverts, okay? You don't have to be as outwardly passionate as I am to be successful, okay? We're all different. Play to your strengths, okay? All right, we're going to move over to Ken real quick.
How important is direction? That was my first job out of college. I loved flying. It was great for me. Not so great for the family. I was gone all the time. So I used my education and decided to go run medical centers. Well, shortly into the transition, I found out something. I sucked at this one minor role. It was called leading. Obviously, it's not a minor role. So I had to figure it out. But through my failure as a leader, I developed an entire process to help good people become great leaders. Everything we use to teach, mentor, coach, and consult is within our process, and everything is based within these three components. So what I like to do for a little bit is go to the model to see if the model can give us some clues as to how to be a better CEO. So here's the model, okay? And my crews and I were not, and medical, not flying, my medical crews and I were not having successful ventures in human dynamics, okay? So until I developed this 7-step model, and then we started to do much better as we started to employ it and use it. It was amazing how it worked. And that's what we do is go around and help people. The model can help with the other pieces of the factor that the authors of this rating scale believe are important as we go through, okay? So let's go into the plane of the model and see if there's some things within there that can help us as we go forward. And I'm lasering Joe over here when I'm supposed to be clicking the button. Anyway, so yeah, you got to, I don't care what you're doing, setting a direction, you got to point that plane in the right direction or not likely you're going to do very well. So when you do that, what do you think we've got to do to make that happen? It's something that business folks do all the time. Well, everybody should learn how to do it. And that's this thing that we call maybe strategic planning. That's a big fancy word maybe, but basically it's just putting things together. Where do we got to go? Well, the factors within the strategic planning, one of them is this thing that we call vision. And I think it's pretty important because it's half the name of my company. But let's go to somebody. Hey, coach, how important was your vision to get you and your crew to be successful?
Well, when we were given that tremendous gift from the Pagulas, okay, initially it was $88 million, all right? Then they gave us an additional gift of $14 million, all right? It allowed us to build what we think is the best college hockey facility in the country. And what we wanted to do, Mr. Pagula asked us, make sure that we're doing the things that are necessary to get this done. So the goal, the vision that he had, build us the best collegiate hockey arena in the country. Okay, we knew that's what we started with. We also, from Penn State's perspective, needed to get it done on time and on budget. And anybody that works at Penn State knows those are not easy things to do sometimes. A lot of moving parts, okay? Lots of moving parts. You got to work with a lot of people, okay? He asked us to create a great fan experience. Anybody been to a hockey game? Bet you have, okay? How cool is that student section, okay? It just rocks. Terry's specific request was make this the most rockinest hockey arena in all of college sports. Okay, so we did that. He also said create a collaborating, high-performing team. Okay?
So I'm guessing it helps set direction.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, don't hit the blank now. Boy, I got to get used to this. So anyway, so
Technologically challenged, we're sorry.
Oh, in addition to vision, the other factors got to be mission, values, and there may be some other things that fall into place in there, so we've got to figure out what they are. Which comes first? That's a key piece here. How many people have not used, what do you think, guys? No? Shannon go already? Yeah, Shannon's gone already. Doesn't look like we had the poll working a little bit ago. So what we have up here was, anybody use poll anywhere, everywhere? Yeah, okay. So we were going to try to get you to work, but the internet's crapping out on us a little bit. So basically, what do you think's come first? You got vision, mission, values. That would have been choice A. Then you've got mission, vision, and then values. That would have been choice B. Then you've got values, vision, and mission. If you can remember that last one, because you can't see it the way it came up. What would you guess is the correct answer choice? A, B, or C that you can't see, but I told you. What do you think?
Come on, somebody be adventurous. Go ahead.
B. Okay, so we got to vote for mission, then vision, then values. Okay? Anybody else? Emma?
Was there one that started with values?
Yes. Values, vision, and mission is you can't see that under? Come on, come up right here.
I'm trying.
Yeah, it goes values, vision, and then mission. That's your vote. Okay? Anybody else? Nobody's going to pick A? I mean, let's cross the board there. That would be diversity, right? Our recommended is this. Why? You know how many organizations get in trouble when they don't have an understanding of what drives them? They know where they want to go. Can we go back into any organizations? How many people saw what happened to a minor airline company within the last year? Oh, you did? How many people think that that decision was a values-based decision? Anybody want to vote for that? How many people think it was the right decision? To beat the crap out of that old guy and bloody him up, prove to him we're tougher. Anybody want to vote for that? That's one out of thousands of examples I can give you over history where values didn't come first. So the next thing we would like you to do is decide, what are yours? Some of you may have gone through this process, and you do know your values, you do know your vision, you do know your mission, and whatever else you might put on that list. If you've done that, would you like to share it? Anybody ready at that point yet? They'd like to share it? We never get anybody to give their hands up, and that doesn't matter if we're doing this age group or we're doing CEOs. Nobody really wants, the actual folks at the CEO level, nobody really wants to share that. I'm not sure why. If you ever want to know mine, just ask me. I'm very clear, I'm very confident, and sometimes they change. Okay? So, the rating scale says that we need to do this next. Holy crap, where do we start? That looks like a pretty daunting list. And it can be until you understand the tools that are available. So if we go to the second step of the model, outfit, in quotes, for a very good reason, there's a lot to this one, and there's some pieces that you can walk through. The very first thing is don't confuse having your mission with having a plan. It doesn't work that way. Okay? Now, a lot of people don't believe that they should do mission planning because they say, well, what if things change? There's no value. In fact, one of the greatest military historians of all time, you probably never heard of the guy's name, his last name was Moltke. He said that no plan, this is my modified version, no plan survives first contact. Then why do it? There are so many reasons. Because you'll be so much more flexible to deal with what happens, but you've got to understand what happens. Do you have to stay on the course you set? Kevin, you're up in a second. Okay? Yeah, Internet Explorer didn't work. So we couldn't show this little Star Wars clip. Anybody remember the Star Wars clip where the guy is in the front going through the trench? It was number 4, but the first one shown. And they're going through the trench, and the guy behind him saying, "Stay on target. Stay on target." What happens? Anybody remember? What happened? He gets blown out of the sky, doesn't he? That's exactly right. So before you crash and burn, I'm not going to be able to do it with the clicker now because of that stupid little thing. Before you crash and burn, press to test your plan. And I know what you're thinking. Press to test? What the heck is press to test? Well, for those of us that flew, we had these little buttons inside the airplane and all gauges, instrument systems, and everything else to help us understand whether or not they were working. And press to test means if you press this, you can see it says press to test there. If I press that, this one would give me a visual signal. A little light would come on, letting me know that it works. There were others that had an audible sound that let me know it works. The key, when should you do this? Before or after takeoff? What do you think? Think before might be a better option? Yeah, I'm going to guess before is a better option. That's what happened with so many people. They had this mission plan. Oh my God, we did it. It's got to be awesome. They never press to test it. They don't test it. Don't do that. Okay? Do this. The way to do this is a little more complicated than we can get into today. But the key is don't go out there just because you have a plan and think you're awesome. So the plan's got to be awesome. May not work. Okay? Next, which is better, a great idea or great execution? Somebody said it. What do you think? How many people in here do you think have great ideas? Doesn't matter, does it? I'm going to guess if I sat down with each and every one of you in less than 5 minutes, we'd be able to come up with a great idea that you determine, not me. I'm just the one that knows the questions to ask to help get to that point where you've got that great idea. Okay? You've got it. How many people in here are going to execute on those great ideas? Or are you just going to work until you try not to poop in your pants? It's your choice. I know what I'm going to do because I'm not looking forward to those days. So I want to be able to have something to look back on. All right, so the next piece of this is, you got to measure progress. Now, there's other steps, as you can see, but we just don't have time to get into them today. So measuring progress, we can't get into it real heavily today, but I'm going to expose you to something that many of you may have never heard of. How many people have ever heard of the balanced scorecard? Heck, oh. I saw hands, I got so excited. Yeah, the 2 young guys over here. Now, this is not of my design or creation, so I want to make sure that's perfectly clear. This comes from a couple of Harvard PhDs, but it is awesome. And for people that are in, there's multiple roles. For people that are in the boss's role, positions of authority, there's multiple roles they play. One of those is called the manager's role. And in the manager's role, this is a tool that is absolutely vital. I think it's good enough for us to take just a couple minutes and just take a look at what's in there. At least the factors we start with. You got financial is one factor that you look at. Then you got internal business processes, learning and growth, and customer. Of those, which is the one you think most organizations concentrate on? Almost exclusively.
Show me the money.
That's exactly right.
That's what they focus
Financial.
on.
That's a mistake. They should focus at least as much time, if not more so, on the rest of these processes. Notice what's in the mission. Now, middle, your vision and your strategy. Okay? So this is a great tool for doing measurement. Now, if you're just the CEO of you, not the CEO of a major company, who serves as the customer? Myself is a great answer. You do. So that's what you're trying to do. I recommend you go explore this. Even if you're never going to do this in a business, I recommend you explore this process. It's incredible. It talks to everything Coach Joe has already talked about, and some of the other stuff we're going to continue to talk about. It really is good. And it's a leadership tool as well as a managerial tool. Next. This is what the rating scale says we should go to. What we're going to do, because of where the group is right now, we're going to incorporate that discussion in factor number 8.
Thank you, Em. So, starting off with myself, you, right? Okay. You have to be your own chief of culture. What is culture? Right? There's all kinds of definitions of this, right? For you and your team, your business, your company, right? Really what it comes down to, simplified, it's your DNA. It's what makes you tick, what you want the company's DNA to be, okay? So you have to have a DNA, all right? And part of that is attitude. We all hear these things, right? These intangibles, right? But it starts off with having a great attitude about you. You have to overcome your fears, right? You have to be able to look in the mirror and know what that person's staring back at you, what matters to them, values. What are your values, okay? And then you have to own it. You have to own it yourself, and you have to own it if you're going to be the CEO of your company, okay? We had the Iser family when I coached here at Penn State, all right? And this was important to us, that every one of those people had to represent our organization with class and dignity. I talked to the parents, to the boosters, to the players all the time about, I don't care if we're 0-36. We will represent this university with class and dignity. Okay? Did it always work? No, but that was what that was our goal. All right? We wanted to strive for that every day. And we made sure everybody understood family comes first. Okay? In our world, family comes first. And that might mean the company as a family, right? In this case, it was our team. Academics was second. Hockey was third. Notice you young people that social life didn't even make the list. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that it doesn't matter. It does, okay? Come on, our guys are good, all right? Hey, at the end of the day, there is one thing you got to remember. When you do succeed, you got to stop and smell the roses too, okay? But only after you've achieved some of your goals. Don't feel you're entitled to that, all right? That's a big mistake people make, all right? But remember that at the end of the day, this is what we represent. That's us, okay? That's the culture that we wanted. And that attitude of gratitude, I'm leaving you with a challenge. When you leave here today, you are going to write down on a piece of paper 3 people that you want to thank. I don't care who it is. Somebody that's made a difference in your lives. And you are going to email them. You're going to text them. Better yet, you're going to call them and talk to them, or you're going to even go see them. Okay? I am. But it matters to me. I think this is very important. We don't say thank you enough to the mentors and the coaches we've had in our lives. Okay? So.
Thank you, Coach. Okay. How many people have worked in an organization that excelled at communication? Why do I get chuckles when I hear that? Anybody? Maybe there's some things we should work on there. How many people have worked in an organization on the other side of that scale? They have not excelled in communication. Anybody work for them? Or been in them? Yeah. I always get those. How come I never get many of the other ones? In fact, the last one that Coach Joe and I did, we actually got 2, I think, that said they worked for an organization that excelled at communication. And then when we asked them deeply, they said, well, tell us about that, because we don't get that very often. Well, let me tell you, the bosses really sucked. So those people that worked there, we decided we were going to make it work really well. So we had granular communication. It's horrible, right? Let's look at some of the common issues. And the terms do have a flying connection, correctly. Garble. Have you ever been listening to something, you know somebody's talking, but you can't really understand the words? Yeah, that's the kind of thing that we're talking about. That happens in flight all the time. It also happens in organizations. Usually it's because of language barriers. And I'm not just talking country of origin. Do you speak text? Not everybody does. These are codes I had to go look up that people have sent me. What the heck are those? You've got to be careful. You can't assume that everybody understands it because you do. Sort of like me trying to speak Ghanaian. Okay? Yeah, it wouldn't go very well, would it, Emma? You know? Next one is called broken. Yeah, I'm hearing some of the words. What's typically the culprit here? Lack of trust. The trust has been broken. Okay? Let me ask you a question. When you're talking with somebody, and what should you be doing while they're talking? Okay, the easy answer is listening. At least you're in the right ballpark. But intent is key. How many people have ever heard of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Good. Every one of you should go get that book. Trust me, it's a great place to start. Now, within there, Dr. Covey, the author of 7 Habits, he talks about one of the biggest problems in organizations when people are supposed to be communicating, but people are communicating and their intent is to do what? Some people communicate with the intent of understanding. Some people communicate with the intent of responding. Oh yeah? Just wait. Okay, when it's my turn to talk. Which one builds trust and which one does not? And so when you have broken communication, it's usually as a result of trust for a lot of reasons. The way you listen, your intent as you listen, is one of the big keys. The last one is called say again. In our modern workplace, just think of all the things that we have to communicate with. Email and text. Nonverbal. Totally, right? So if I tell you, you ask me a question. How am I doing? As simple as that. And I respond, you're doing fine. How comfortable are you? Let me try this one. You're doing fine. How comfortable are you now? Did the words have anything to do with that? They were exactly the same. So how are we connecting with nuance of meaning when we're only using printed words? We are not. And that's one of the big problems. One of the other problems with our modern workforce is how many people in our modern workforce work from home? Or they work in different locations. A lot of time, that problem is proximity. And so when those people aren't working together, humans communicate really well if they work at it. If they're talking to each other directly, they don't do so well when they're disparate from each other, okay? It's a real problem. And one of the problems that's caused by you have those separated locations is a lack of focus. Now, oftentimes when they have that lack of focus, what do you got to do? Somebody said something, and you realize, oh, that might have been important. What do? You ask, oh, can you say again? Okay? Not only does that waste a lot of time, but it doesn't do anything for relationships. It destroys relationships. We've got to figure out how to be the chief of communication. That's the key to all this. So number 8, build, manage, and leverage BOD. What's BOD? BOD? Beer on demand? Think? Well, wouldn't that be fun? No, sorry, I can't do that. Oh, I can? Oh, good. Good. It's Mike's class. I'm clear. Good.
Bet he gets good ratings.
Coach, what do you think?
That's a board of directors.
Is it important?
You think? It's all about relationships.
It sure is. Now, they might be thinking that they've got to have people that are external to an organization. That's not necessarily true in a CEO of me situation, right? Do you have anybody on your board of directors?
My kitchen cabinet, as we call it, mentors, right? We all have mentors. We all have coaches. We all need to be mentors and be coaches, okay? Because the best way to learn something is to teach it to somebody else, okay? My chief literary critic is sitting in the back of the room. That's my wife, okay? Wave, hi, good to see you, okay? Yes, we all need those people to bounce ideas off of to help keep us on that right course.
You know, I think one of the key pieces to this is that the culture within, we were talking culture, Coach was talking about culture, the culture within the United States is to be as independently successful as possible. Well, I don't think that's a bad thing, but I think you have to understand how people are independently successful is not meaning they have to do everything every day by themselves. They bring in other people. And the key is, I think, is to leverage that group of people that you bring in. They've got incredible potential inside them that can help you. I didn't say do it for you. They can help you amazingly.
Well, so based on what we've talked about here, what do you think a good leader, a good CEO engages in? Okay? Do you think when you leave here you're done? What do you have to keep doing? Right? You got to keep learning, and you got to be ready to be transformational. Okay? You're going to change. All right? You know, heard a speaker the other day talk about he loves flexible people because they never get bent out of shape. I know it's early, I know. But here's the bottom line. You've got to be a life learner, okay? And that's not just about what you love to do, by the way. You got to keep improving your strengths. How many of you think you could be better at public speaking right now? How many of you think you could be a better public speaker? All right. How would you go do that? How would you go become a better public speaker? Anybody know? A couple of ideas? Any of you guys? Toastmasters. You ever hear of that organization? Okay. Dale Carnegie. All right. You know what? You have access to more information today. There has never been a greater time to be alive than today. Okay. You have this wealth of information. If you know that that's something you need to improve on, go out, get on the internet. You'll find a way to do it. Sooner or later, it means getting up in front of people and doing it. Okay? You have to do it. All right? Okay. So we're going to review. These are the things that matter to becoming the CEO of you, but also the CEO of the company. And notice we left that number 5 out for a reason because it gets a little bit too down into the weeds, okay? But all of these things matter to you, all right? So we're going to make sure that you keep getting trained on these things, all right? And Ken and I are here to try to help.
Well, I was just going to say, Coach, you don't think there's anything else going on this week that might help with any of those, do you?
I think about what? There's lectures every single day in Startup Week.
You think they might help?
And not just here, right? This is happening campus-wide now, all right? This is, and I know it's getting toward the end of the semester. Turn off the TV, quit playing some video games, give up some of those distractions in your life, and get out and meet these people, okay? I will tell you that when you go to conferences, here's the best way to really learn. Get there early and introduce yourself to the speaker if you can. Stay afterwards. And even if you don't get to talk to the speakers one-on-one, you're there listening to them as they're talking to other people. You'll be shocked at what you can learn just by being around them, okay? So, at any rate, Ken?
The key, keep forgetting talking to the mic. The key is to have a plan. Do you? Put it together and then execute it. Don't just have great ideas. You got to execute them like we talked about. But if you do, you'll do so much better. You'll unlock all that potential that's sitting inside you right now. What do you notice about the KiVisions flight plan? There should be something on there that should tell you something, a real epiphany for you in life. Maybe it's not an epiphany. Maybe you understood that already. Something very clear about that I hope people would get. Steve?
You don't start off flying?
You don't start off flying. That's exactly right. You start out down here in what I had to go through called ground school. They didn't just throw me the keys to the airplane and say, go have a good time. Okay? Not even with taxpayer money. Okay? Then, look what I was flying next. I was flying some little dinky single-engine prop. Then we had to grow up from there. And that's the key. That progress is absolutely key.
So, when we talked earlier and you saw that picture of me with my helmet stuffed on top of my massive hairdo back in it was the 70s, people. Give me a break, okay? So at the end of the day, we had a dream, right? We had that dream, okay? Build the best collegiate hockey facility in the country, okay? We believe we achieved it, right? But the amount of work that went into that, all right? The courage that it took at times to do what had to be done to keep that thing on time and on budget, all right? That gets back to values, all right? You're going to learn at some point in your lives and in your business lives that you have to stand for something and you're willing to make a stand, okay? Can't fight every battle, okay? I've tried, okay? He talked about not being a great boss. Well, yeah, as one of my friends said, I used to swing at every pitch, okay? You gotta pick and choose your battles, okay? But at the end of it, it's amazing what can get done when people put aside their egos and work toward a common goal, all right? Lots and lots of mentors, lots and lots of people. We leveraged our board of directors, okay? That was key. So, all right, to become the CEO of your life, all right? That's what we talked about at the beginning, right? We want you to be the CEO of your life because that has to come first in order for you to be successful as in a startup company or to eventually be president, CEO of your own company, all right? You've got to determine, and this gets back to values, what are the kinds of things that you will always do? What are the things that you will never do? Give you a quick, think of the front page test. What do I mean by that? Okay. Would you do that if tomorrow morning it ended up on the front page? I'm sure the folks at United Airlines are having that discussion quite a bit now. I love, by the way, you saw all the jokes that came out. My favorite one was Southwest. Somebody's put one out there that said, "We beat the competition, not our customers." that was pretty good. All right. So what does it take to be true to your values? Anybody? What does it take? I just mentioned it a couple of minutes ago. Anyone?
When you got to hold the line.
What's it take? You got to have it. You got to have this in order to stand up for your values. Courage. That is something that is lacking in today's world, okay? We have a lot of people that go through life like this. You know my challenge is for you? We've learned this from some others. Think about where you're going to be in that last poop in your pants stage, and you've got a movie that's being made about your life, okay? Let's hope it's Oscar worthy. That's the challenge. Look in that mirror every day and think about those people, okay? Think about you and what difference you're going to make in your life and in other people's lives, okay?
Thanks, Coach.
Ken?
3 things left. 1, so you can start doing this exercise. What will I always do? What will I never do? And just, you can write courage on this little piece. You each have one of these little light bulb cards. They are made this size to put in your wallet. There are 3 spaces on the back for you to fill in and take and keep and refer to. You change them, that's okay. You don't have to stay on target if it doesn't work. We also have these little forms that if you'd be so inclined to fill one out for us and go through, we'd really appreciate that. And the very last thing I have is, I have a book coming out soon. Okay? We'll put this information back up there in a minute if you want to get a hold of Coach Joe or myself. I have a book coming out in a minute. The publisher has given me 3 cover shots. I threw out one because they had just a guy on the cover. It wasn't a man and a woman, just one guy. So I didn't like it. But these are the other 2 cover choices that they've given me. If you'd like to be in the running for a free copy of the book, please submit your choice. And I'll take that. And just give me your email address and your name if you would. And I'll give you a free copy. And maybe signed if you're really nice. Okay? But with that, we hope you have a great rest of the week and you learn lots of stuff. And as Coach said, what was your final thing?
You have to have courage. Right?
Good luck to you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.